Our final TENx speaker for 2020 is also known as the Gritty Girl. She believes that long-term success is born from the tiny rituals and actions you take on a daily basis. A survivor of poverty, abuse, and trauma, she is passionate about helping people to own their inner gifts and offer them to the world by taking gritty action. As a serial entrepreneur and wordsmith, her mission is to empower people to rise by igniting a gritty mindset to get things done. Today, she will share with us the clues that peppered her own journey and showed her how to ignite grit. Get ready to get gritty with the one and only Gritty Girl, Dee Khanduja.
Thank you. How many of us have tried to achieve something, but for some reason we haven't achieved our goals? Okay, I have found that what determines whether we'll be successful or not lies with igniting our inner grit. So the dictionary defines grit as having courage plus resolve, but I define grit as taking action despite the obstacle. Research shows us that grit is a significant indicator for success. And grit researcher Angela Duckworth found that when it comes to talented people versus grittier people tend to be more successful. So the good news is we don't need to be talented to be successful. Good, right? So then how do we ignite our grit to be successful? I'm the daughter of Indian immigrants who grew up in an extremely racist, violent, and hostile neighborhood in the UK called Basingstoke. Is anyone here from Basingstoke? Or has anyone been to Basingstoke? Don't admit it. You shouldn't put your hands up. I keep it quiet. So we owned a grocery shop and we lived on top of this shop. And right next to our shop was a pub that was full of drunk, racist gang members who would terrorize my family for over a decade. They would smash our windows, they would steal our stock, threaten us with violence, and graffiti our walls with things like "Paki, go home," which I always found really weird because A, I'm not from Pakistan, and B, I was already home. I hated being brown-skinned. To me, as long as I was brown, I wasn't safe. I would literally be in the bath and I would try and scrub my brownness off as a child. And as you can tell, I was not very successful. When I was 8, something happened to me. I was in the playground with my brother, and a group of around 5 girls, a few years older than me, entered the playground. And you know that sinking feeling that you get in your stomach, that pit, when you know something isn't right? I had that. And they started to circle me. And then one of them grabs my hair and pulls me to the ground. And they begin a savage attack. They're kicking me, punching me, and spitting on me. I remember looking up to find my brother, and I see him running off in the distance to get help. And in that moment, I'm alone, and I'm terrified. And they grab my hair, pull me back up. 2 of them hold me back, and one of them sprays my eyes with a deodorant. Momentarily, I'm blinded by the chemical burn in my eyes, but for a lifetime, I've not been able to forget that sickly deodorant smell. I thought that there was some kind of invisible color-coded system in the world where brown people are ranked right at the bottom. Immediately after that incident, I became extremely frightened and withdrew myself. I created a self-made prison for myself at home where I wouldn't leave my bedroom, let alone my home, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I felt like giving up. Can you imagine an 8-year-old girl wanting to give up on life for being born the wrong color? I would stare out of my window, peep through the curtains, and I'd watch the kids playing downstairs, and I really wanted to play with them, but I was too scared to go out. But I knew that if I wanted to play again, I had to have courage. And so I made a plan. I decided I would go out and play. But this time, if they said something to me, I wouldn't stay silent. And if they threw stones at me, I'd throw one back. And even though I was really scared, I wouldn't show it to them. And so with this plan, I went out. And something fascinating happened. I started to challenge them to games of running competitions and games of marbles because I was really good at both. And I started to beat them. And then their respect for me grew and they wanted to be my friend. I mean, who doesn't want to be friends with the best marble player in the neighborhood? And so the first thing that you need to ignite grit is courage. What is it that you need to be courageous about today? Fast forward 2007, I land on the shores of Singapore to launch a business right at the start of the global recession. Not a good time to start a business, peeps. But anyhow, we take that business from 0 to a 7-figure entity within 3 years. And on the outside, things are going really well, and I'm at the pinnacle of financial success. But back home, my marriage was in trouble. I remember breastfeeding my baby son, and he was fussing at the breast. And my daughter was screaming for my attention at my feet. And my phone was pinging and pinging and pinging with messages because there was some problem in the office. And I just remember feeling completely overwhelmed and not knowing who or what to deal with first. And my husband was out that night, as he often was in those days. And it dawned on me that for the last 11 years, we had become estranged. His emotional and physical absence, coupled with my mental overload, had created this black pit in our marriage where I lived on one side and he lived on the other, and we simply coexisted as strangers. And so in 2015, I took a decision. I took a decision that I was going to leave my marriage and be a single mother of 2 kids. I decided that I couldn't raise my kids in a toxic environment where respect and equality were missing. And so the second thing that you need to ignite grit is not to get divorced, okay? But to make a decision. What is it that you need to break free from today? Only a decision can free you. After the separation, I spiraled very quickly into what I can only describe to you as a dark pit of despair. I had become extremely anxious and was having panic attacks and fear over how I was going to raise these 2 young kids by myself in one of the world's most expensive countries. I'd gone from being this high-flying, gritty entrepreneur who could solve any problem to this broken single mother of 2 kids, self-medicating on alcohol, parenting on autopilot, who couldn't even get herself out of bed. Every small decision was difficult for me to make. And I sat there in that pit for 2 years, having a pity party for one. I was looking for external solutions to what was an internal narrative problem. Until I asked myself a new question. I said, Dee, what do you care about? What do you care about? And the answer came. I care about my kids. I care about equality. I care about those who don't have a voice. I care about helping women rise. I care about not wanting my daughter to grow up in a world where she's paid less than my son for doing the same work. Once I knew what I cared about, it was enough to ignite my grit to get myself out of that pit because there were bigger things that needed attention. You can't get gritty about things you don't care about. People ask me all the time, how do you become gritty? And I tell them, first, you need courage. Second, you need to make a decision. And third, you need to deeply explore what it is you care about. So what is it today that you need to be courageous about? What is it that you need to make a decision on before you leave those doors? What do you need to break free from? And what is it that you deeply, unapologetically care about? Once you know, you too can ignite grit. Thank you.
Wow, what a powerful delivery. Dee Khanduja. You are meant for this stage. What an amazing delivery.
Thank you. Thank
Fantastic.
you so much.
Big round of applause again.